Our third and final debate features the candidates running for Spokane City Council in District 3. This district covers northwest Spokane. It stretches north of the Spokane River to Indian Trail and 9 Mile and west of Division. The incumbent in this race is Candace Mumm. She served on the Spokane City Council since 2014. Matthew Howes is the challenger. Thank you for both coming. And with that brief introduction, let's go straight to questions. And Candace will get the first question here, and we're going to give you an easy one to start. So you win the election, you're sworn in. What's the top priority?
Well, it's public safety. And what I hear when I'm out knocking on doors during this campaign season is that we have crime in almost every neighborhood in the Northwest District, whether it's cars being broken into or garages or actual burglaries in homes. And people are installing their own security cameras. And part of the reason is we don't have enough police officers. We've been hearing this for years, and now we're seeing the outcome. So what we're working on is hiring more officers, and we're also working more upstream and putting together a package with the state to do new supervision of auto theft felons, because we know that if they're supervised, they are less likely to offend. And the state of Washington is one of the only states in the nation that does not supervise their felony auto theft offenders. So we've been working hand in hand with the police department to look at their staffing, to look what they need, and to also make sure that they have the gear that they need so we can prepare for some of those unfortunate active shooter events that happen, but make sure they have cars and really adequate staffing for shifts. So we'll be having that discussion with the police chief going forward, and it looks like we can afford it in the budget. So hope to hire new officers.
Okay, thank you. Matthew, so you're sworn in. What's the first priority?
Thank you. I also believe that police officers is going to be a priority. I think that the people have spoken for the last 4 years and are tired of police officers not having the resources that they need, having enough officers on. We definitely need to hire police officers. It's about time that we take that as a priority. I also am hearing when I'm outdoor knocking that people want to know what's going on with our road repair. Spokane still, we're heading into our winter season again, snow plowing. People are very concerned about that, and most of the roads still are not being repaired. So people want to know, what can we look forward to for next year?
Okay, so the next question is of transportation of a different type. On the same ballot that the voters will see your names, they'll see Proposition 2, that's known as the rail car initiative. It would fine people and companies that move rail cars with uncovered coal loads and some types of oil through certain parts of the city. So what do you think about it?
I am opposed to Prop 2. I think that is going to get Spokane into more legal issues and more wasted money spending that we continue to be doing right now. I feel that it is something that the federal government owns this land and the railroads. I think that we need to be better for our citizens here in Spokane, concentrate on things that are far more important, such as road repair, police officers, things like that, that right now we don't have the time to be wasting on this Prop 2.
Okay, thank you. Candace, what do you think?
Well, Proposition 2 is a citizens initiative, so there were several signatures from our citizens all across the city. They are worried about the safety of trains that carry very volatile explosive materials or potentially toxic materials through our town. And we are sort of the intersection of many, many rail lines. It's our history, but it's also our vulnerability, especially through downtown and near all our schools. So I understand the concern. However, when we took a very close look at it at City Council, I voted with the majority not to put it directly on the ballot because of the potential legal challenges in the way that it was put together. So what we need to do is work with our first responders, look at, are we prepared? Do we have the adequate material? Continue to have discussions with the rail companies about what if. What if we had a spill of coal into our river that we have spent millions trying to clean up? What if we had an explosion of that Bakken crude right next to Lewis and Clark High School? These are very real concerns, and they've happened in communities around us. Every year we hear about more. So rail safety is an important issue for our citizens. We need to look at it and work towards something that is a method that can actually function and be sustainable.
Now, some folks think that that particular initiative falls out of the purview of the city council, that it's an outside sort of issue. So the next question is about what are your views about the council and working on resolutions and that sort of thing that are viewed as something other than the core city functions?
Well, most of what I see are issues that are brought forward by the citizens that we work on. And if there are enough council members that think that a lot of citizens want something, we'll bring it to a public discussion. Here's what I've worked on that I've gotten good feedback on. I authored a crosswalk ordinance that worked on improving safety around our shopping centers, around our schools, around our parks, our churches, and our hospitals. Because as it was before, there was no methodology or policy about when to put crosswalks in, and it really didn't give pedestrians the right of way that they deserve. And we had a lot of people getting injured. So that's something that I knew right away. A walkable living environment is what many of us grew up with here in Spokane. And now that the city's gotten bigger, we need to step up and make sure that we're advocating for people who don't drive, or people who use a wheelchair, or people who use a walker. And we've put in some new pedestrian improvements around schools, and we're finding that that has a direct connection to literacy and health for students, and I'm looking forward to working toward that if reelected.
Okay, thank you, Candace. So what do you think about that? Is the council working on things that are outside of its purview?
I feel that, and I'm hearing from people in my district that yes, the city council is concentrating on too many issues that have nothing to do with the city council. If I'm elected, if I'm hired by the people, I want to make sure that they have a voice, that they are the ones that are help making the decisions, such as the Monroe Street project. I'm hearing over and over again what a waste of money that is, what a waste of time it is. Mike Fagan has brought up a great resolution. The city council bulldozing it over, saying, nope, we're not going to listen to it. We're going to continue doing this because this is what we want to do, rather than what the citizens want to do. Yes, I think that there are so many decisions that they're doing that is outside of the scope of the job.
I'll take a rebuttal on that.
Okay, Candace.
So that's not correct. So the city council was not included when the project was put forward by the mayor and his staff. It was a grant safety project. We found out about it after the fact, and after I was elected, then we changed the methodology to have more inclusion from the community, and we learned that we wanted to have input from the citizens. Now, this was actually something the Emerson Garfield neighborhood had talked about to make Monroe more walkable. And we listened to the citizens, and guess what? There's a lot of businesses that want street improvements. They want sidewalks outside their businesses so their cash registers can ring. And also, we have to remember, a 5-year-old girl was killed and another man was killed on that road. There are deaths and injuries on this road, and we have to step up as a community and make our streets safer.
Okay. So Matthew, you get the next question, and you both referred to this in your first answer. Mayor Condon has proposed a budget that provides funding for new police officers. If that comes to pass, how and where do you think the officers should be deployed?
I'm excited that he has been able to do that. I support Mayor Condon. I think that he's done a fantastic job. I want to make sure that what we try to do is with a city council that's a little bit more balanced, so that he can get more of the jobs that he's looking to do to get done. As far as hiring more police officers, you know what? I am not in the police force. I would certainly hope that the people, the police chief and everybody else that would step forward and say what is the best recommendation. I believe that Mayor Condon would certainly be the person, the leader that we need and want, that would listen to the people that know what it is that we need to do.
Okay, so Candace, you get the chance to advise the police chief as to where he should put these officers. Where would you put them?
We actually just met with the police chief yesterday and had this discussion. And before I came on, the mayor did not discuss budget priorities with us, and it's now a new day. In the last 4 years, we have worked together. I meet with the mayor every month, along with the city administrator, Teresa Sanders, and we talk about these priorities. And finally, this year, the council sent a letter to the mayor and said, enough is enough. We have to hire new police officers, and we have the budget, let's do it. So we're all sitting down together and developing a new strategic plan to do just that. What I would advise in terms of what I'm hearing from the shifts is the bar patrol downtown. There's a lot of activity that happens in downtown. Again, like I mentioned, we're growing and we need extra patrol. In fact, when you look at the numbers, we're very short on patrol, which is why our response times are not where they need to be. And it concerns me when people call Crime Check or call 911 and they don't trust that that officer is going to make it there, or they're being reprioritized. So Thankfully, we have enough data that now shows us where our hot spots are, and that's where we need to move officers. It's not necessarily one part of the town, because crime moves all over the city. So I look forward to seeing those extra patrols come on, and I think the citizens will too.
So let's move on to the homeless and the city's approach to managing homeless people. Candace, how would you assess the problem, and what do you think is the best approach to addressing it?
Well, this is a problem that many cities are facing all across the country. And the mayor was actually at the Association of Washington Cities last night explaining that Spokane actually, because we're a regional center, we have a more visible homeless problem than, say, a smaller city like Colville or Rockford. And so what happens is they come here for services. So we need to focus on how we can deliver services and keep people safe. So what we've done is we've started a new program called Hope Works. So if there's some panhandlers or homeless that are interfering with vehicles and cars and businesses and causing problems, we can have a team that goes in and asks them what they need, and maybe even offer them a job through Goodwill. And I've worked with some of our business partners on the north side to connect them with that. So if they are having a problem, it's not just downtown, it's also in our district. We've had reports of problems near Northtown Square, all up and down Division, not just there, but all the way out to the far reaches of the city. So we, again, have to have a mobile approach, and we have a lot of housing downtown, but there's also women and children that need to be housed who are running away from domestic violence. So many issues that are important, and we have a lot of initiatives that are working on that.
Okay. Matthew, how would you approach the homeless problem?
Well, first I would have to say that spending $150,000 on rocks was probably not the best solution to the homeless problem. I myself think that there's homeless, I've seen homeless throughout the Spokane. I'm seeing it in our neighborhoods in the Shadle area, growing more and more all the time. What we need to do is, after speaking with Jonathan down in the city hall about the homeless situation in Spokane, we need to have the resources to help people, give them a hand up rather than all these handouts that the city seems to want to do. They want to give money to organizations that don't necessarily want to just help people get on their feet, but to just do handouts. And I'm a firm believer that, you know what, people want to, they want to help themselves. A little bit of help here, a little bit of help there is great, but people want to have the resources to be able to educate themselves and do better.
Okay, so the next question, and we're going to make this a district-specific question. We've gone citywide so far, but and you both referred back to the Monroe Street. With regard to the plan to narrow Monroe Street and change the streetscape, what are your views, and what do you think about the legal action threatened by some of the businesses along Monroe Street?
I think that legal action needs to be seriously taken into consideration. I think that they have definitely have reasonable concerns. Again, I think that the Monroe Street project is something that we should definitely be looking more into. Mike Fagan has offered a resolution to let the people vote on it. It is something that Monroe Street definitely needs some attention. I'm not disputing that. No one does. We definitely need to maybe beautify it and make it safer. There are things like that. But I just went to the real estate summit, and they're estimating that Spokane is supposed to be growing an estimated 200,000 people within the next 20 years. If we're having a growth like that, then we don't want to be reducing it down to one lane each direction, especially with no bus turns out, and Monroe Street is a main thoroughfare. Does it need some attention? Absolutely. Does it need to be a road diet? Absolutely disagree with that.
Okay, Candace, what are your thoughts about Monroe Street and the threatened lawsuit?
Well, it's a good thing that city council members and the mayor are not engineers, because we leave it to the experts to tell us how to make a safe roadway. And one of the things that I know from living in Spokane since the 1960s is that it has changed a lot over the years. My family was one of the first businesses up on that higher North Monroe section. My dad opened a Taco Time there, and I used to work there as a kid cleaning parking lots. So I was right outside, and we had a small number of lanes. It was very walkable. You could walk across the street. Our customers came right across the street, and you felt very safe there. Walking up to Strick's Donuts or the Dairy Queen. Well, then when they put 5 lanes in, all of a sudden Monroe became a speedway. And that was not the way it was built. It's an old historic business district. So I've been working with the businesses since I became elected to make sure that their needs and concerns were heard. And what I kept hearing was, it's too dangerous. My customers can't park outside. And we want a place where people will come and sit at our restaurant and stay there. And we've had a lot of shops come and go. So it's time for the city to invest in our business districts and have it like Perry and like East Sprague. And we know a walkable, livable, safe environment is where people want to park and shop and make those cash registers ring.
Okay.
I'd like to rebuttal.
Yeah, go ahead.
And again, I think that Monroe Street definitely needs to have some attention to it. Mike Fagan brought up a great resolution to, instead of going from 5 lanes to 3 lanes, a 4-lane option, I think is something that needs to be looked into, rather than the city council just telling him that, nope, we're not interested in that, and just moving on to do a 3-lane road.
Okay. So we're coming down to the end here. We're going to give you a yes or no question, and you get a sentence to embellish on that. Riverfront Park Pavilion, cover or no cover? Go ahead, Candace.
Well, I actually had the opportunity to sit on the park board, and this came up in the midst of all the other improvements that were happening down there. And of course, I remember Expo 74, and we had the cover, and there was so much happening underneath that pavilion. It really was the heart of Expo 74. And we'd go, I probably watched that IMAX movie 50 times with my friends. And that's really what I remember when that question came up, is what's going to happen under the cover? It's not a matter of really the structure, it's the function of it. So can we have concerts there? Can we have a Hoop Fest Center court there? And we can have a temporary court or cover if we need it.
Very good. Okay, Matthew, we'll give you a couple of sentences to go along with. Yes or no on the cover?
I think that the citizens of Spokane have voted for it. They want the cover, and if that's what they want, I also agree with them.
Okay. So it's time now for our closing statements, and we had a coin toss earlier, and Matthew, you get to go first with a 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you. My name is Matthew Howes. Just wanted to tell a little bit about myself. I am the American dream. I came here from Vietnam in 1969. I've lived in Spokane for the last 42 years. Today I am blessed enough to be married to my wife, have 2 children, own my own small business in Northwest Spokane. And I want to be hired by you. I want you to hire me so that you have a voice. I think that the citizens have not had a voice in a while, and so now it's time for us to step up so that you can help make the decisions of what is best for Spokane. So please vote for Matthew Howes, MatthewHowes4citycouncil.com. Thank you.
Very good. Candace.
Thank you. Well, I'm Candace Mumm, your current city councilwoman in Spokane's Northwest District 3, Position 2. And in the last 4 years, we have accomplished a lot. Spokane is growing at a pace we haven't experienced in a long time. We have record construction, and you can see it all across the city. Well, as the Planning and Economic Development Chair, I can report to you that retail sales are up, and employment is down, and household incomes have steadily improved. I authored the crosswalk ordinance, as I mentioned, to help make it safer to walk to shopping and for kids to get to school. And I voted to hire more emergency responders and helped improve the hiring practice at the city with women and people of color. But more work needs to be done. Too many of us have become victims of crime. Public safety and police staffing has to take a top priority. We need to continue to plan for business center upgrades like around Northtown Mall and Shadle Center, and make our city more walkable with sidewalks and trails. Please vote to re-elect Candace Mumm when your ballot arrives. I would be honored to continue to serve you and Spokane's North Side. Thank you.
Well, thank you to both of you. And that's it for these debates. Our thanks to Matthew Howes and Candace Mumm. We also want to thank the candidates running in Districts 1 and 2. You heard from them earlier in the broadcast. The general election is November 7th. You can drop off your ballot at any Spokane Public Library branch or the county library, as well as the STA Plaza in downtown Spokane or the county elections office. Voter service centers will be open on Election Day if you need help. For a complete list, go to ksps.org. I'm Doug Nadvornick. It's been a pleasure to host these debates. And for all of us at KSPS, thanks for watching.